Hey guys, welcome back. It is Four Towers Films, joined by
2018. What's going on?
it's another episode of Masterchef Canada Season 6, episode number 4.
Count 'em.
And it is another team challenge. And the winners of the last two team challenges were the leaders, and that is Jennifer, and she led the red team, and Andre led the blue team this time.
I felt sorry for these guys, like to deal with what they had to deal with in the time frame. Now
They had to head to Rotherham Glen School in Oakville, and they had to do lunch for 161 students, ranging from grade
2 to 5.
2 to 5. That's actually a lot of students for those grades.
That's actually, if you think about it, that's actually most of the school.
For some schools, like we don't know how
big it is.
How many students it actually has, but that's actually quite big for a normal public school. And that's just about what, 4 grades?
3
grades? Yeah.
160 students in 3 grades. Dang.
Well, 2 to 5.
Grade 2 to 5.
So 4 grades. No, it doesn't matter.
It's a lot of kids. And they had 2 hours to prep for this.
It's not a lot of time. And of course, they had stipulations. They had to do some vegetables, and then they had to do like the main meal and a dessert.
Yep.
So they did like a schoolyard pick, and Jennifer picked Josh first. If you remember, he's the one with the beard, and he was one who was picked last. The last team challenge they had. So this time he was picked first, and he's also a dad. So that's another reason she wanted to pick him. And then Andre picked Jenny, who's a mom. She's the one who has like the 100-year-old kitchen. And so they picked, and so I believe it was Chrissy who was picked last. And, it bothered her a little bit. And she's putting her apron on, and she's like saying she's always picked last. And that. So, which is interesting because she's a pretty good cook. Like, she hasn't really been in the bottom, I don't think. Like, I mean, that, not any worse than anybody else, so I don't know why she's picked last. She's pretty creative. But anyway, so she was picked last. So they had the 2 hours. And so Team Brad decided they wanted to do Pizza Day Friday. So their idea was to do like a pepperoni pizza. And initially, they wanted to do square cut pepperonis. And because Jennifer says she remembers that as a kid.
Because it was square pizza, square pepperoni.
And so she thought, the kids would like that because they liked that as a kid. And then they thought of doing a brownie along with it, along with like the cut vegetables and a dip. And then the blue team decided on a baked macaroni and cheese with an avocado chocolate pudding and their vegetables. And now that was Jenny's idea, is to make it a little healthier. And I think she says she makes that at home for her kids. Like she has to sneak in vegetables.
I think that's what most parents, they gotta.
Well, some parents do.
They'll slide that in.
And even the chef said that.
Yeah.
Because kids usually won't eat it if they see it. And so they'll have to hide it into the meal. So she hides like avocado or whatever. And I mean, avocado can be pretty sweet. So you can kind of mask it somewhat. So that's what she was thinking, to make it a more healthier pudding. So, each team was working very well together. The leaders weren't overbearing, but they were very organized and everything. But then, like, the red team started, so they're kind of running out of time. So they figured they're not going to have enough time to cut all the pepperonis into squares. So instead, they shredded them instead.
What was it? She called it, it was an homage to Windsor.
Like there's a pizza place in Windsor
that does shredded pepperoni.
Who does shredded pepperoni, and so she goes in, and it's really good and really yummy. So they figure that's what they'll do instead. They'll shred it and do it that way. And on the same token, the blues team, like Chrissy was mentioning this, that again, Andre is very organized. He's a very good manager. Like he's a very good leader.
Yeah.
but he's always had a problem with time management.
Oh.
So they were falling behind. And it's funny, Claudio came over and they're still like, they're just doing the noodles and he wants to bake this. And so he's saying to him, how long does it take to bake? And he's like, 20 minutes. He goes, look at your time. You don't have enough time.
And they didn't have enough macaroni.
They had to make more macaroni. So they actually had to put more pots on the stove to make more macaroni too, while they're doing the cheese and melting the cheese and everything. So he said they're going to have to scrap the idea of doing it baked because they just don't have time, and just do like a traditional kind of macaroni and cheese along with everything else.
Well, originally, remember, they wanted to put beef in it, and
Chrissy's they initially did. They did. They actually had made beef, and then he went around asking, "What do you think?" But people said, "No, don't put beef in it." So they took the beef out. And actually, on the other team, on Jennifer's team, for their vegetables, they thought of doing watermelon radish, I think it's called.
I think so.
It kind of looks like cut watermelon. I think it's called watermelon radish, but it's really, really strong. And so when they were tasting it, they're like, no, it's too strong for us. It's going to be too strong for kids. So they decided against using that. So they just went with, I think it was carrots and stuff, like just like kind of like your traditional kind of thing.
Almost like what you get in a pizza, like a pizza shop.
Well, this is not on the pizza. This was for their vegetable, because they had to do vegetables with dip too. Yeah. So it was for that. So, and they said it was too strong. So they scrapped that.
And the thing was, it wasn't the judges who were judging. It was the kids.
It was the kids. And they all had gold stars that they had to place on their favorite team. So the kids come in and they're serving them, and the judges are going around asking them what they think, and they'll get the tips. Some like the red, some like the blue, and I think it was Michael and one little girl. He said, "How do you like the pudding?" She said she liked it and all that, and he told her there's avocado pudding in it, and she's like, what? Like she had this, what? Like, what?
You gave me veggies and I didn't know.
And, I was thinking this later, was that actually a good idea to tell them before they voted? Because, as even kids especially, but people can actually get swayed towards something or against something if they know what's in it. And now kids are usually anti-veggie.
Oh.
Not all kids, but a lot of kids are. And so if you're telling them ahead of time before they're voting that there's vegetables in it, they might suddenly think they don't like the taste. Yeah. So they might influence them. Even if they had like the taste before that, they might suddenly think, oh, yuck, I don't like it. That's how a lot of people are, even kids, even adults are like that. So
heck, even Elvin got a chant from the kids.
Yes, because they were like blue team, yellow, red team, red team, and then they're like Alvin.
And he's feeding into it.
That was really cute.
And sorry to say, but the blue team got.
Well, then they voted, and so they had like a volcano. It was with the science club. And to say who won. And of course, it was the red team who won. It was like red lava coming out of the volcano. And wow, they won by quite a bit. Because 30. On the scoreboard, they gave the score of how much they won by. They won by about 30 points.
37 points.
It was like a 99 to 69 or 60.
62.
62. So they won by quite a bit. And so, it kind of harkens back to what I was saying. It makes me wonder, because when they were talking to the kids, they seemed to like it. Like, it seemed pretty close, but maybe it was because they knew there was vegetables in the pudding. I don't know. Maybe they legitimately didn't like it as much, but we're not sure because they don't show everything, right?
And it's edited for effect.
And of course, it's edited for time and effect, right? So you're not sure until the very end, right, who's going to win. So to keep us guessing as well. So the blue team lost. And they have to go to the pressure test.
Oh, and what a pressure test this is.
They said it was and it's true, it was the hardest pressure test they've ever done in the history of MasterChef Canada. They had to do a
recreation
test of a feijoa.
It's a Catalan fish stew. And okay, there's some differential in cooking time is 20 to 75 minutes. These guys had
20
minutes.
minutes to do this. So they had to come up and they wanted it done exactly the way they presented it. And that means down to the amount of fish that's in it, the amount of like squid,
shrimp, noodles, flavor,
everything, like from the flavor all the way down to the amount of each different fish in it.
And all three of them stressed it.
Yeah.
You taste it, you replicate.
Right. It's a
everything.
replication challenge. So they all tasted it. Most people couldn't even pronounce it. So they all came up with tasting it and all that. So they went back and they started doing that. None of them had made it before. And so, you know, they were working on it. And some of them were having trouble. Like Jenny started having trouble because she put the broth into the noodles too soon.
Yeah.
So they ended up being soggy. So instead of just, you know, scrapping up or starting over, she might not have time to start over. But instead of like more or less saying she made a mistake, because you only have 20 minutes, she put more in it to try to crunch it back up again.
Because you're supposed to, for this stew, you're supposed to toast the noodles.
Right, like they toast them, and then it's the very last thing you put the broth in. Because as you know, if you've ever cooked noodles, spaghetti, anything, noodles thaw pretty quick. It doesn't take long to cook even pasta. So these noodles, like once you put broth in, she knew as soon as she did it that they were going to go soggy. And they did.
And she cut her hand.
Yeah, she was cutting tomatoes or something, I think, for the broth.
And while
she cut her head, and so she's trying to cut the tomatoes single-handedly while they're fixing her hand.
That was machismo.
Well, because even the team up above was saying, "We'll do it one-handed. Do it one-handed.
You gotta go.
You gotta go. One-handed. Do it one-handed."
Because every so often they show a shot of the clock
up in the gallery and the clock, of course. And I mean, 20 minutes goes fast, especially when you're on the time pressure.
And surprisingly enough, everyone completed.
They all finished. They all completed it. You know, they all did actually pretty well for that short of time, and it was a tough test.
Oh.
So they all brought it up, and I think they showed Regine first. Or was it Jenna? No, Andre. I think. Maybe. But they went through them, and Regine was looking at the other ones, and he was saying that. He realizes he didn't have enough fish. He's looking at everybody else, and they all have more fish than he does. So he realizes, there's a problem here. I think they like the flavor.
Well, that's what he said he had focused on.
He focused on the flavor, and he was hoping that would be enough to get him through. But he did know, and then even Michael or Claudio said, you know, this is a replication challenge, right? And that means, like, I think it was like 5.
If it has 5
like
squid
and lobster, like they had specific numbers for each one, and he didn't have that. But they said the noodles were cooked properly, and they did like the flavor. But was that enough? Jenny, her noodles were soggy. I think she had the correct amount of fish, but they were undercooked. The squid was undercooked, it was chewy. And I think Alvin couldn't even bite into it.
And like Claudio said, you know, you run a risk
of adding
this because you'll have some that are really cooked
or not cooked, and some are overcooked. Right.
And that's off-putting. What we learned also is Chrissy has a photographic memory.
Yeah, she said that because she had the exact amount of fish because she remembers she has photographic memory. She goes, "This is one time she's glad she had the photographic memory." And she had it nailed.
Her cook on the fish was
good. I think again she had a problem. I think a bit with the squid. I think it might have been a bit chewy.
Well, like Claudio told her, he goes, "You nailed everything here.
Yeah.
But what this dish lacked was confidence."
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. Yeah, she has a confidence
issue, and that stemmed back to earlier in the episode, where it's like, you know, I'm always picked last, and you know, when you come up like that, we know people that you end up with confidence issues.
You may too. Most people do. They know somebody like that.
I was picked last many a time, but you know what? you move forward, and that you keep going. Andre was the winner.
Andre won it because he was pretty close to everything. Like they loved the flavor, the noodles were cooked properly, and all the fish was cooked properly, and everything. So he won it. And then it pretty much came down to Jenny and Rogine because one, the cooks on their squid, he didn't have enough of the fish. Her noodles were overcooked, and then all that. So in the end, it ended up being Rogine who ended up going home this week.
And they asked the stereotypical question up there in the gallery, who do you think is going to win? And he pointed to the big man.
To Josh. You know, he might be right. I mean, Josh actually, I think, is a good cook. Yeah. I think they may have underestimated him. And I think he's quite good. I mean, he's proven himself the last few times. He has proven himself pretty well.
That's the problem. When people think you can't accomplish or do this, that, or the other thing, you're going to end up paying for it.
And we've seen a few others who were underestimated. Look at last year. A lot of people at first underestimated Becky at first, and then she just kept proving herself week after week after week that she was talented enough. Like, you can't always go by age, and because you always assume there's not as much experience, but she ended up winning the whole thing. I mean, even who knows, Chrissy might come into her own. We've seen other times other cooks have struggled a little bit at first. So if you think about it, it's still somewhat early on. It's it's only the 4th episode.
Well,
so she could finally get her confidence and blow them all away. It's possible.
Well, you really want to talk an underdog story? Look at Luca from the American Masterchef. Yeah. Came back twice.
He did it twice, and he came back and won it the second time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, you never know. It's possible. Any of the ones that could be seen as underdogs who very well come back and win the whole thing.
Well, like they said, like the phrase says, every dog has its day.
Right. It's true. I mean, yes, right now there seems to be some of the front runners, but who knows, right? They're all at one point during the competition, or during the challenge, they all said, we all can cook. So, and it's true. Sometimes it's just a matter of what confidence they have. Yeah. And Chrissy is struggling a little bit with confidence. Mm-hmm. Once she gets that, who knows what she might be able to do. She might trust herself to really just go for what she wants to do. And if she does, she very well could take the whole thing. Same with Jenny. I mean, she's had high points, she's had some low points, but she can cook. There's elements there that prove she could be a winner here. Yeah. So we'll see more as it comes down. It's because it's just going to get harder.
161 kids they had to cook for.
Yeah.
And as you know, kids are picky. Bravo to the red and blue team. They did well.
They both did well.
And who knows what the next one will bring. As we've seen in previous seasons, it's been weddings, it's been restaurants that they'll take over.
So they might. They usually do a restaurant takeover, but that's usually a little bit further into it when it gets down to about 5 or 6. So we might still be a little bit out from the restaurant takeover, but that's always fun to watch. The restaurant takeover. Because it's
usually one of the judges or someone.
One of their restaurants usually,
and
or a friend. Yeah.
And when you have the judge work in the past,
especially if it's their restaurant,
because
it's their wrap that's on the line. So
I remember last season.
I think it was Michael's.
It was Claudio.
Oh, it was Claudio's.
I believe, and Claudio didn't pull no punches. It's like this is your food, my kitchen.
Right, my standards. It's my rep.
Yeah,
and it was his menu they had to execute, and they didn't have a lot of time to learn it either. So, but they did a good job.
And these guys, they don't mess around. They just boom, 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 boom.
Well, see, that was one. Remember, Becky was not the leader of that one team of the team,
but she
took over because the leader at the time, I can't remember who the leader was faltering, and Becky's the one who took over as leader of that one. So this is what I mean. When we go further along, who knows who might end up being able to step up? We'll find out.
Maybe we'll see this season's Becky.
Never know. Well, I'm sure somebody was going to come out pretty soon. I mean, they're all good cooks. There really isn't really a weak cook, really. Not yet, I don't think, anyway.
All in all,
all in all, it was a really good episode. We enjoyed that one.
2 thumbs up, dude.
Next week, it's back to the mystery box again. So
and it's Alvin inspired.
It's Alvin inspired mystery box. So that's going to be difficult.
Difficult and oriental. Oh.
So that'll be fun to watch, and you'll have to come back here and join us for the recap, and we can let you know what happened.
Me too?
You too. Of course, it's fun with all of us together. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. It's up there somewhere.
Right there.
So, when to upload. Every time Masterchef Canada uploads, so don't forget that we do upload for other shows. Amazing Race, Big Brother Canada, and Survivor. So, if you like any of those shows, we do recaps of them too. Take care, guys. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.